Hey everybody, it's Ade Shukwe here from Agile TV at Bosnia Agile Day 2018, and right now I'm with Boris, how do I pronounce your name? Gloger. Boris Gloger. Now Boris was one of the keynote speakers here, and in a moment I'm just going to ask him to introduce himself, and then we're going to talk a bit more. So Boris, thank you for joining us. Can you quickly introduce yourself to the watchers out there, please?
Yeah. Hello everybody, my name is Boris, and I run an Agile consulting company in Germany and Austria. I was one of the very first certified Scrum trainer. Currently I'm 50 years old. Since 15 years I do Agile. I learned about Agile 2001 when I got the very first texts from the internet and read the books, and then started doing Scrum, and nowadays we help customers in Germany, Austria and Switzerland most of the time doing Agile transitions.
Awesome. So earlier on you gave a really interesting keynote speech. I got lots of value out of it. So there's just a few things that I wanted to ask you. So earlier you spoke about the law of 2 feet.
Yeah.
For those of you out there, the law of 2 feet is typically allowing people to vote by their legs by moving towards something. Now, and you also spoke about the concept, which I really love, of Scrum teams and actually allowing people to join that team.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you've seen in organizations around the concept of let people decide to join a project when I'm paying them?
That's completely out of scope at the beginning when you start doing these kind of things, because typically you have a team. People are assigned to projects, right?
Correct.
And most companies organize the people around projects. So they pull people like resource management. You sometimes whole organizations who signing people to projects,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's a typical way of doing it, right? Because we believe in people as a resource. But the Agile Manifesto already said you should organize projects around people.
Okay.
So not people around projects. And the basic idea of the law of 2 feet is, if I join something voluntarily, then I'm motivated, right? So I don't have a lot of problems later on by motivating people and trying to have a carrot as a stick, so that people, you don't need to think about motivation when you start with voluntarism. Right? And sometimes, not all of our clients, but some of them got it. So for instance, once we had a very interesting project, and it was super complicated, and it was a 150 people division.
Okay.
And they knew they needed to do that project very fast.
Yep.
On the other hand, they had a lot of people who needed to support the current activities.
Okay.
And management tried to get heads around who to put in that project, right? And I said, stop, guys. We just bring everybody together in one large room, explain the challenges, and explaining that all the others need to support these special people, special in terms of they select themselves to do that project. But they need to know that they are super important, the people who are not going on that project, because only then there's enough support for the people who are on the project. So they selected themselves for the project, and they selected themselves for doing the not so nice work, so to say. Yeah?
Of course.
And who was scared? What do you think?
Who was scared?
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe management, right?
So we explained the situations to these 150 people, and then I put all managers out of the room, and we were standing in the hall, and I needed to calm them down by all the...
Forget it, right, what does that mean about me?
Yeah, not only that, but they really feared that people would do the right and tough choices, right? But after round about 30 minutes roundabout, they pulled us back into the room and said, that's the decision, these are the people. And
good.
And it was a good beginning. Yeah? And whenever we try to implement these kind of things, or like you do a massive sprint planning with 180 people in a large room, for instance, you don't assign the stories to the teams.
Of course.
The stories pull the story themselves, and that's basically the same idea. Yeah? Let people decide what they want to do.
Of course. And I like what you just shared there, because once again, it just shows how the micro is reflective of the macro. So in effect, like you said, when we're in sprint planning, we allow the team to pull, assign it to them. So in effect, it makes sense, right, to allow people to join the team, because like you said, they're already motivated, and by the fact that they've joined, it's like you don't really need to sell it to them no more. They've chosen to join. And I like also what you shared about the importance of, in that invitation, sharing the non-constraints up front.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it might require you to work weekends, we might not have all the environments, here's some of the challenges that we know that comes with this project. But once again, that's somebody voting or choosing to join that is already accepting those constraints. And then you also added the fact that because constraints might change throughout the process, to then re-invite them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important. I mean, it's like a contract that you make with a person. If someone, like, if your telecom operator says, by the way, we need to change the rules of our contract, then you have the right as a customer to go away, right? And we should do the same in our projects now. Terms of work with our people, right? We change the constraints. Do you still want to do work under these conditions? It's only fair.
So, last question: how mature would an organization culturally need to be able to implement these things that we just discussed, which make sense?
I always get a lot of times I get these kind of questions, and the typical answer is, first, the organization needs to be mature to be able to do these kind of things.
Right.
And I strongly believe it's the total opposite.
Right.
The only thing you need to implement is at least a little room to be able to try these kind of things out.
Okay.
And it's not about full organization needs to go voluntarism. It's about trying to understand if that will work. And it's not about doing Agile for the sake of doing Agile. It's about we would like to have more effective organizations. And from a management perspective, I would like to get as much out of my people in a traditional way as possible, right? And if I have the possibility to ask them, would you like to join? And then, by the way, these are the constraints, and on the other hand, and it's also constrained to work in a very, very disciplined, agile way. For instance, you have to deliver every couple of weeks a certain amount of functionality. And we know that it will be a complicated start at the beginning, but then you use the mindset of the organization, because classical organizations would like to tell people what to do.
Right, okay.
So now you don't tell people within the team what to do, but you tell them exactly what you want to have from them.
Okay.
Right? And so make a lot of things you create a feedback cycle that is more or less like controlling if that thing works.
Right. Okay.
I mean, one of the big benefits or implemented wonders, so to say, of Agile was, I tell you, you can do whatever you like, but be ready in 2 weeks. It's crazy, isn't it? And then we reflect on have we done what was expected to do, and if not, yeah, of course we need to take action, right?
Right. Okay.
And if you do that in a humble way, or at least in a way that you understand that people at the beginning will make a couple of mistakes.
It's part of the journey, right?
Right? And if you say, okay, it's not a mistake by the people are bad, it's just maybe the process was broken, or we had some constraints not considered, or we have we believe we can deliver more than we thought, but we have never experienced how much we really can deliver in 2 weeks, right? If you try to get a little bit of humbleness, or at least gentleness in that way, then it is possible to transition a harsh and very, I would say, tyrannic organization.
Right. Okay.
If you like so. Right?
Awesome. You've really provided a lot of value in there, and also in what you were sharing there about leadership providing the intent. It reminded me of the commander's intent in the army, right? Which is, here's the outcome that I'm looking for. You guys figure it out. What do you need? Here's tools, weapons, and whatever logistics to go. That's the intent, because things are constantly rapidly changing.
And even they have a concept, and I haven't been in military, so, but I heard about there's this term call of duty, in terms of you have this 2 years engagement, and a soldier typically knows what the what that means for the next 2
Right,
years.
okay.
Maybe not at the beginning when he was drafted, but later on, they know exactly it's for 2 years, and they know what's going expected. But there's a clear termination, you could say, at the end.
Right.
It's
Okay.
I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it's kind of it's in some way very fair.
Awesome. So really appreciate that, and I'm sure that some of the listeners out there have got a lot of value. How can people reach out to you and maybe contact you if they needed to know more?
Well, I have a Twitter handle, Boris Gloger, so at Boris Gloger, or you send me an email, boris.gloger@borisgloger.com.
Awesome, and I'll make sure that I put that as an underlay on the
Thank you
video.
very much.
So there you hear it, guys. It's not so much about an organization having to be culturally mature, whatever that means, but it's more about there being a willingness to be able to experiment with different things. And since we know it makes sense that human beings that we have within a company are the biggest asset, and that motivated human beings tend to do a lot more and be a lot more effective, then it does make sense that we create an organization, or at least experiment with the possibility of using the laws of 2 feet to actually assemble our scrum
And
teams.
one last comment. The point is, I strongly believe we still haven't created organizations that use the full potential of people.
Definitely, agreed.
And you're from London, you said, and I'm from Germany, and we are very small companies compared to Asia.
Mm.
And if we are not starting to be more productive in terms of using our potential, we will be overrun.
Wow. So I mean,
That's very simple.
that's
We
just
have
trying
to be more productive.
Well, what's that saying that we have? Survival is not mandatory. So there you have it, right? The choice is yours. So Ade Shakoya, Boris Gloger at Bosnia Agile Day 2018. Catch you soon.
See you. Bye.